Let's talk today about Middle English and reading Middle English vowels. Not just reading them, but also how to pronounce them. I think the key to learning how to read Middle English is in the pronunciation of it. It's not just my private opinion. Middle English literature was read aloud, as most pre-modern literatures were. So in order to learn how to read Middle English, you gotta learn how to say Middle English. In order to learn how to say Middle English, you gotta learn how to tackle the vowels. The vowels are probably the trickiest part. So today I'm gonna walk you through just the vowel sounds individually. I'll give some examples of how they're pronounced, but we gotta learn these little baby steps first before we get into the actual reading of the text with those tricky vowels all up in them. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so here's my chart. This is original to me, so any errors you can definitely attribute to me. Something I've seen, quick side note, in little primers on how to read Middle English, they often include IPA. That's helpful if you know how to read IPA. Not everybody does. I didn't, and I'm still not great with it, to be honest with you. And a lot of people coming in to read Middle English don't always know IPA. I don't want to make people try to learn that first. So I have here a chart with the Middle English vowels, their modern English sounds, and modern English equivalents in a word. That is, words that we still have that use the vowel sounds in such a way that they would have been used in Middle English. It'll make more sense as we go through and look at some of these examples together. Another quick note, I am assuming an American accent with these sounds. So keep that in mind if you're Australian, English, any kind of other accent with English. Sorry, but can only work with what I've got. Okay, start with A. So A in Middle English will be pronounced as ah. Think of ambiance. Ambiance. You're try not to overthink or overpronounce the word. When we say ambiance, you don't say ambience. It's not getting all weird. Ambiance. So A, a single A. Think ah. And say it with me. Ah, ah, ah. Remember, A is ah. We'll go through words in a little bit, but let's go through some of these vowels one by one first. All right, now notice that I have here either a single or a double A. It's because, like our modern A, the vowel can sometimes have a different pronunciation depending on the word. This is not, however, very, very dramatically different, so don't worry too much about the differences here. Single A and definitely a double A, aw, as in father, almost a little more, how should I say, a little more in the back of your throat, aw. You can feel it in your nose maybe a little more as you're saying it. Father. Now you might be thinking, well, what's the difference between ambiance and father? A slight difference. Again, one that I wouldn't say is super critical to understanding the different pronunciations, but still, father. Ah, ah. Just know that you're yawning a little bit as you're pronouncing a double A. Ah. Recap. This is ah, ah. All right. Ah, ah. The letter E. Eh. Eh as in better. Eh as in better. So when we see a single E, it's pronounced eh. So say that with me also. Eh, eh, eh. Eh as in better. Then we have, just like with a single or a double E, and that'll be pronounced A. A as in beggar, beggar. A, A, that double E there, A. Now you're seeing, again, a single E. It might sometimes have that. Definitely the double E will have that A sound, will not be an eh. Will not be eh. highlight was probably confusing, but you get what I mean. All right, now following following the E sound, or rather following the letter E, we have the letter I, which will make an E sound sometimes. E as in triage. E as in triage. If you see a single letter I as in the pronoun, the first person pronoun I, that would be pronounced E. Okay? But sometimes it might be an I. Now, if it's a single letter I, it will be more likely pronounced as E. So let me add a note here to say if it's just I, as in I am, that would be pronounced E, E. So the pronoun, if you see an I by itself, will always be that E sound. Otherwise, if it's in the middle of a letter, might be an E, might be an I. I, as in hit. There's also the consonantal Y sound with the letter I here. You'll see that a lot with Latin words like Justus. So y, the way that we say that Y is sometimes vocalic, sometimes consonantal. Justus, y. I is a tricky sound of a gun here. Can have a few different sounds. Again, this is, you are not going to read Middle English after seeing this chart. This chart is only meant to help get you a little more familiar with the vowels before we start actually trying to read. So the letter O, just like our friends A and E, if it's a single, it'll have a shorter sound. Ah, as in ox. Ah. A double O, sometimes it's a single, but often with a double, be a long O sound, note. O is in note. So remember a single, let me differentiate here. Single O, be like an ah. Double O, sometimes represented as single, but more often as double, note. Okay? This, you might be detecting a pattern here. If it's a single vowel, more likely to be a shorter sound. Double vowel, likely to be that kind of longer sound. Okay. U. This, you know, let's just try to remember that it can be an as in put, an oo as in crucible. So U can be pronounced as or oo, or oo. And the letter Y, it might have that consonantal y, yellow, but I think you're more likely to see it as this E in this vocalic sense, as in myriad here. So think of this letter as E, E. All right, let's do a quick rundown. All of those vowels. Pronounce them with me. Ah, ah, ah. Maybe I should choose a color. It's a little more visible. We said ah, 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 eh, 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 a, 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 e, 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 I, 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 y, 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 ah, 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 o, 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 uh, 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 oo, oo, oo. Y, y, y. E, E, E. You'll see my note here at the bottom that Middle English words ending in the letter E or ES or ED will often pronounce that letter E as its own syllable. Could change depending on the meter, but I have an example here. Shoulder, pronounced shoulder. Lordinges, lordinges. So, another example. Modern English, you might say or write lords. You wouldn't say lordes, lords. There is no break between the D and the S. And when you see this, maybe even if you saw this in modern English, you might be tempted to say lords. But this would be pronounced lordes, lordes. There's a kind of a syllable break there. It's often the case, so keep that in mind. In Middle English, you are pronouncing much more than you would in modern English. So it's actually pretty phonetic once you get the hang of it, once you get the hang of the new rules, and you are remembering to pronounce a lot more than you normally would. But these vowels are different than modern English, so that is one of the hurdles to get over. All right, that was our primer on Middle English vowel sounds. Stay tuned for another video on consonants, which will be a lot less tricky, and diphthongs and common Anglo-Saxon orthography. I think we can bundle all of those things together. That will be in the future. For now, thank you for watching and stay tuned. I will see you in the next video. Take care.